Siyum Hashas than there have been Giants and Jets playoff games together. It's kind of a sad statement for Giants and Jets fans. Sorry, I know someone here was wearing a Jets hat. I apologize. But that night there was this this gathering to celebrate the completion of shots at MetLife Stadium, and at the same time, Mumford & Sons, who are a band that I like to do a lot, and I sort of do a lot of work in the music industry, were playing very nearby in Hoboken, New Jersey. And so I said, cool, I'm going to see Mumford & Sons in Hoboken. And as I was on the PATH train from Manhattan to New Jersey to go to the show, I sort of like ran into a bunch of Jews that I knew, and they said, and they were on their way to the Siyum, and they said, "Oh, you're coming to the Siyum?" And I said, "No, I'm going to see Mumford & Sons in Hoboken." and they were like, "Oh, okay, well, awesome, have a good time," which I did, and it was a wonderful show. And then on the train on the way back to the Five Towns, I sort of thought about it, and I said to myself, like, if this is something that could gather 90,000 Jews of like religious, not religious, old, young, whatever kind of kippah you want to wear or don't wear, that it's probably a good thing to be a part of. And so I said, all right, I'm going to try starting tomorrow. And that was 7.5 years ago. So I guess in some ways I owe some of this to Mumford & Sons for inspiring that night.
They go to Ghana Eden.
What's that?
Mumford & Sons goes to Ghana Eden.
The little something. So I just wanted to share a couple of very small things from this journey. So over the 7.5 years that I did this, and like my mom and I were talking about, by the way, I just wanted to say I know that it's really hard for you to talk about this stuff. And thank you. I think you did a really good job paying tribute, so I appreciate that. But I think the two things that like stood out to me was one, we've never done anything for, I have a hard time doing anything for 7.5 days straight, let alone 7.5 years consistently. And I think one of the cool things about it is it did provide a real powerful anchor in my life. It's like you have good days, you have bad days, you have days where you have more faith in the universe, you have days where you have less faith in the universe. And there's something about having something that's consistent every single day of your life. And no matter how difficult the day before was, or how badly you feel, or you're ill, you're tired, you're in pain of one sort or another, things are going well, things are not going well, the DAF was sort of like something that anchored me. And I think there's something to be said for having something in life that anchors you, no matter how your life is going on a given day. The second thing that I think stood out to me was I travel quite a bit for work and to see rock and roll concerts, and I kept track in my Gemara for 7.5 years, every single day on the bottom of the page, what city I was in when I did the DAF, and so it started on August 2nd, 2012, in the Five Towns in New York, and I just wanted to read to you the list over the last 7.5 years. I've done DAF Yomi in Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, England, France, Germany, Iceland, Ireland, Liechtenstein, Poland, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Israel, Canada, Costa Rica, Cuba, Nicaragua, the US of A, and Peru. And finishing the last DAF sitting in Auschwitz. And I thought about that, and I was like, one of like the goals of the Nazis was like, they didn't care where you were from as a Jew. They just wanted to kill you. Like, and if they could have, they would have spread darkness to every single corner of the world. And I felt like sort of taking the DAF with me into all those different countries and all those different places was sort of like, I guess, my fixing for that, to like try and bring a little bit of light into all those places where 80 years ago there were so many people trying to bring a little bit of dark. So those are sort of my thoughts from the experience. Two other quick things, which is just the fact that sort of doing this in this place, I really didn't want to make a Siyum. I kind of prefer these days not to be standing in the center of the limelight, and it's certainly not about me. And I didn't make a Siyum for almost any of the other Masechtot that I finished along the way, but I felt like this was a good thing to do, and so really more than anything else in tribute to my mom and her family and where they come from, because I know that it would be sort sort of meaningful to you. And then I think on another level, which is like, it's kind of a good screw you to the Nazis, you know, who really tried hard to like make moments like this not happen. And so sometimes I guess the best revenge is living well, they say. And so being able to stand in this moment and do this is sort of like, you know, the ultimate finger. So, and I guess with that note, we'll do this. So very blessed. There were a lot of moments during the last 7.5 years where I was like, I'm not going to make it through this. Which is also maybe, I guess, a good lesson, which is like in life, there's a lot of moments where you're like, I'm not going to make it through this. And it's just like, right, like a good running back. You just like sort of, you know, keep your feet moving. And lo and behold, I guess we're standing here. Which is interesting, because it turns out that the last line is Tanad Ve'elio, right? Everybody, anyone who learns halakha, I think you quoted this actually in Auschwitz, right? Is that where?
The Siyum Eitan.
What's that?
Eitan finished with something breakfast.
That's right. So anyone who learns halakha every day or repeats one is guaranteed to be a son of the next world. Shnamar halichos olam lo, al tikre halichos ala halachos. But I guess that is interesting that it's called like the goings of the world, because in some ways, I guess, if you want to make it to the next world,